All right, let's talk about one of those incredible figures from history who was absolutely central to everything but somehow gets forgotten. Today, we're diving into the life of Rabbi Benzion Meir Hai Uziel. He was a chief rabbi, sure, but he was also a statesman, a thinker, and his vision for a modern Jewish state was honestly as radical as it was brilliant.
And this right here, this gets to the very heart of who he was. This was his dying wish, literally written in his final will. For him, unity wasn't just some nice, fluffy idea. No, it was the absolute bedrock for survival, for success, for everything. This pleas for harmony, that's the key to understanding the man and his mission.
I mean, just get that picture in your head, right? A man who looks like he stepped right out of the ancient world, but his actions were so incredibly modern. He wasn't afraid to challenge old ideas, to break down barriers, and to lead from the very front lines. So the question is, why isn't he a household name? Well, let's figure that out.
To really get where his obsession with compassion and unity came from, you have to go back to his childhood. And let me tell you, it was anything but easy. His character wasn't shaped in a quiet library. It was forged in the tough streets of Old Jerusalem.
Just look at this timeline. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around. He gets married at 13. 13, not for any normal reason, but because his father was sick and wanted to see him settled. And then just a year later, his father is gone. At 14, an age when most kids are just starting to figure things out, Uziel is suddenly the man of the house, trying to work and study just to support his mom and his siblings.
And that experience, that personal pain, it just fueled this incredible empathy in him. This story here isn't just a nice anecdote. It's basically the source code for his entire leadership style. He didn't just sympathize with people who were suffering. He knew what it felt like. He felt it in his bones. And that deep, real compassion would guide every single thing he did for the rest of his life.
So that deep compassion we were just talking about, well, it didn't stay behind closed doors. He wasn't the kind of leader who was just content to deal with spiritual matters. Oh no. When his community was in danger, it became its fiercest defender, stepping onto the public stage with just unbelievable courage.
So picture this. He's the chief rabbi in Jaffa, which meant he wasn't just the religious figure. He was the main guy dealing with the oppressive Ottoman government. And when the governor, a notoriously cruel dude named Jamal Pasha, starts threatening the Jewish community, people panic. They rush to Uziel's house in the dead of night, and before they can even finish pleading with him, he just says it, "I'm ready to die for my people." Just like that. He went to face the governor, and his sheer conviction, his courage, was enough to make the guy back down. Incredible. And it wasn't a one-off. Later, he becomes the rabbi for this massive, vibrant Jewish community in Saloniki, Greece. And once again, he could just see the writing on the wall. After a huge fire and rising tensions, he didn't just offer prayers. He passionately pleaded with the young people to leave for the land of Israel. And this is in 1923, years before the Holocaust. He warned them, the fire will consume them. It's a heartbreaking and totally prophetic call to action.
But for all his bravery against outside threats, the thing that really defined his mission, his whole life's work, was healing the divisions inside the Jewish people. To him, the internal fighting was the biggest threat of all.
You've got to understand, at the time, the Jewish world was deeply split. You had the Ashkenazi Jews from Europe and the Sephardi Jews from the Mediterranean and the Middle East. And we're not just talking about different kinds of food or prayer styles. This was about separate schools, separate leaders, separate everything. It created real walls between people. And Rabbi Uziel, a proud Sephardi leader himself, decided he was going to spend his life tearing down those walls.
And his answer wasn't about political deals or compromises. It was something much deeper and honestly way more radical. It was love. A totally unconditional, absolute love for every single Jew. It didn't matter where they were from, how religious they were, or who they voted for. That was his foundation for everything.
And he didn't just talk about it, he lived it. When he became co-chief rabbi, his counterpart was the great Ashkenazi scholar Rabbi Herzog. Now, they could have been rivals, right? But instead, they became incredibly close friends and collaborators. They worked together on everything. Their partnership became this living, breathing symbol of the very unity he was always talking about. It was proof that it was possible.
Okay, so here's where Rabbi Uziel gets really interesting. He had this amazing ability to take ancient Jewish law, halakha, and apply it to the biggest challenges of the modern world. He wasn't scared of modernity. He wanted to find the holiness within it.
Let's take women's right to vote. This was a huge deal back then.
Many of the most famous rabbis were totally against it, saying it wasn't traditional. But Rabbi Uziel's argument was just so simple and so brilliant. He basically said, wait a second, we expect women to follow all the laws of the community, right? So how on earth can we deny them a voice in choosing the leaders who make those laws? It was a total mic drop moment that just cut through all the noise.
His take on conversion was just as revolutionary. Intermarriage was happening. That was a fact. A lot of rabbis reacted by making conversion almost impossible. But Rabbi Uziel saw that would just push whole families away from Judaism forever. So he made this really smart distinction. He said a convert has to sincerely accept the Jewish legal system in their heart. But will they be perfect at observing it from day one? Probably not. And he said, that's okay. His goal was to bring people in because he was playing the long game. He was thinking about their children and their grandchildren. It was about the future of the entire Jewish people.
So you take all these pieces, his courage, his vision for unity, his modern way of thinking, and they all smash together during the most dramatic moment of all, the birth of the State of Israel. And believe me, he didn't just watch it happen. He helped build it with his own two hands.
The year is 1948. The British are gone. War is coming. Jerusalem itself is under siege. The fate of the Jewish people is hanging by a thread. So, where is the elderly chief rabbi in all this chaos?
He's on the front lines. I mean, literally. The commander of Jerusalem's defense is inspecting the fortifications late one Shabbat night, and he sees this old, bearded man digging away like his life depends on it. He gets closer, and he's stunned. It's Rabbi Uziel himself. When the commander asks him what he's doing, the rabbi says he's digging to hasten the redemption and to set an example. To show everyone that defending the nation was the highest possible religious duty, even if it meant breaking Shabbat. Talk about leading from the front.
He really became the moral compass for the brand new state. He's the one who wrote the official prayers for Israel. He insisted that serving in its army wasn't just a civic duty, it was a mitzvah, a holy commandment. And then there's this incredible act of integrity. He was offered a beautiful villa that an Arab family had abandoned in the war. He flat out refused. He said a rabbi could not be seen benefiting from someone else's loss. Just wow.
This was his final message, a quote from the prophet Zechariah that he put in his will. And it's the perfect summary of his whole life, isn't it? A relentless search for truth combined with an all-out love for peace and for unity. His vision was for a state that wasn't just strong, but one that was also just, compassionate, and united. And you know, that feels like a vision that, maybe now more than ever, is worth remembering.